All right. Well, we're ready to get started. I am elated for this opportunity to come to you today with a great conversation with Mayor Quentin Hart, the mayor of Waterloo, Iowa. We're going to have a great dialogue today, brought to us by Diversity Today BD Online and our partners at Us Iowa. So we're grateful for this opportunity to come into wherever space you are in to have this conversation with our mayor of Waterloo and one of the candidates for mayor in the upcoming election on November 4th. So we're just grateful for your attendance and your participation in this conversation. Those of you that will watch live or in replay, repost, we're grateful for all of you. We want you to share this. We want you to engage this and get this information out because it's an opportunity to have a more intimate look with a candidate for a very key office, not only in the city of Waterloo, but in the state at large. So we're going to welcome Mayor Hart in just a moment. But we want to talk about just some of the things that are happening in the state. We want you to really make sure that you are participating in the local and state elections. Your vote does matter. We want you to find your local voting spots. Make sure you're registered and that you show up to the polls. You make sure that you vote. Your vote does matter. Someone told me one time, they said, well, my vote doesn't matter individually, but your vote plus my vote can make a world of a difference. And so we want you to get to the polls. We want you to make sure you show up and let your voice be heard. And if you don't vote, you lose the power to affect the things that are happening in our city, state, and ultimately our nation. Again, I am representing the organization that I lead currently called Us Iowa, and we are a bridge building organization between political spaces, religious spaces, faith-based organizations, and social service agencies, trying to build a network to build communities and the strength in communities together. You know, a lot of times we find reason to build walls, but we're trying to find ways to build bridges. Walls don't discriminate. I tell people all the time that walls don't know who to keep out and who to keep in. And so we don't want to have walls. We want to build bridges to each other. We don't have to necessarily agree on every specific point, but we do agree that we want engagement in our communities. We do agree that we want strength in our communities holistically, and we want a better world. So we're working together at Us Iowa. So we're going to have more events coming and more spaces and forums like this to be able to connect all of the different spaces together so that we can build together. So I think here momentarily, we're going to have Mayor Hart joining us. He's in the green room currently, so we're going to get him on with us here shortly. But again, we want you to like and share if you have not. We want you to engage. We want you to be in a space where you are able to share. Matter of fact, if you'd like to text or let someone know that we're on, please join in and help us to get this engagement up. Please help us to be able to unify the community, even in this forum. We know that there's been other mayoral debates and that kind of thing, but again, Diversity Today Media Online is carved out this time with Mayor Hart so that we can be able to get you even more in-depth look with our current mayor and our candidate for the upcoming election on November 4th. So Mayor Hart is now with us. Sir, how are you today?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you? It's been a minute.
It has been. I am very well, and I'm doing even better having this time with someone like yourself. I think
Man,
it's important to say this initially that I have the utmost respect for you as a man. I've known you for several years, and I've also watched you politically, and I'm just really grateful to be able to share this space, having this conversation with you. And I appreciate you making time in your busy schedule.
well, the honor is mine. Been a fan from afar as well. So appreciate all you're doing at Us Iowa, and I just want to give a shout out and thank you to Diversity Today Media as well.
Absolutely, and we're grateful for people like Diversity Today Media that make spaces available to kind of bridge the gap. You know, because sometimes when our political leaders are running for office, people don't have an opportunity to really get to know them. And I think you can echo this sentiment, Mayor. We only have enough so much time in a day and in a week and in a month to be able to engage. So when we take these times, I think it's important to be able to reach and touch as many people as possible. So I want to thank those at Diversity Today Media for making this opportunity available to us. Without much, further ado or preliminaries, I would normally, Mayor, take this time to run down the the long list of accolades, the long list of all the things that you've done, and really highlight the level of engagement that you have. There's so many things, and we'll talk about some of these things as the time together goes forward. But I'm going to ask you to do something for the sake of the people that are viewing this. I want you to actually give us your own biography. How would Mayor Hart introduce himself? Because I don't think anybody could do it like you,
Right.
and it would allow you an opportunity to highlight what things are important to you, sir.
Well, if you know me, you know that I'm not going to be highlighting two things. I mean, too many things, right? I'll just say one. Just blessed. Born in the city of Waterloo. Both of my parents were from Mississippi. My mom, we counted one time across where we live at that she walked across the street like 19,000 times back and forth to Allen Hospital to work. And my dad, who passed away a couple years ago, he worked at John Deere, and I don't know if he's ever missed a day of work. And
Wow.
so, born and raised in Waterloo, went to East High, went to college, a couple different places, got a master's degree. And then I made the really smart decision, and that was becoming a husband to Cassandra Hart, who is a principal in the city of Waterloo as well. Three children, two boys in college, two young men in college. Let me not say boys, and a daughter that's in eighth grade. So I'm just blessed to be able to serve. I've been mayor for what is it, 9 years, 10 months, 28 days. And if we started at this moment, it'd be 14 hours. But just grateful to have the opportunity. 8 years on council before then. But before then, I worked at Hawkeye Community College for 2 decades, helping students, running centers, multicultural affairs, and a bunch of different other activities and opportunities. So very engaged, state, national boards. But out of all of those things, I think I like father and husband the best, and a child of the King, right? So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Mayor Hart, I want to start with just asking you just kind of a more personable question before we jump into the politics of all things. How is it being the mayor of a city you were born and raised in? What are some of the challenges, pressures, and positives
right,
that come along with that role? Because I know I can be challenging.
right. Well. First, I would have to say, being mayor of the place that I grown up in, you get an opportunity to have real relationships with people. People know you, people trust you. People have seen the ups and downs in life that you may have, and so having family here, having support. I mean, it makes all the difference. So very glad to have this opportunity. And I always tell people, especially being mayor in your hometown, I'm not perfect, but I'm purposed, right? And that is to change some of the generational old problems and challenges we've had in this community. And we have years of lack of disinvestment in parts of our communities and our neighborhoods, but we've also had some strengths that we can build from as well. So being here, I know those challenges. I've seen them. I haven't had a silver spoon in my mouth my entire life. So I've been able to see the ups and downs of the city that I was born and raised in. You mentioned challenge, but there's a lot of opportunities that we have here and things that we've been able to do. But I think some of the challenges are Of course, there's high expectations from those that are around you, those that may not especially understand what my role is. And so people want change, and they want change right now, when we know that sometimes change is a very slow process for some of us to do. But I'm honored to be able to serve. Some people say I got to go to work. I say I get to go to work and wake up every day trying to figure out how we're going to make this city better, how we're going to partner better, and think outside of the box to try to address some of the challenges that have historically plagued our community. And so we've seen a tremendous amount of success, but yes, there's challenge, and you roll your sleeves up and you continue to get busy and try to stay after those challenges.
That's amazing. I like what you said about being not being perfect, but being purposed.
Hmm.
And there was a quote that I heard years ago, and they said, often the difference between a heretic and a revolutionary is time. There's
Mm.
some things that we do
Right.
purposeful in the moment that it takes some time for people to absorb it. I can imagine being in your role, there are some things that evolve over time. And I want to actually highlight just your courage with the pandemic and over some of the challenging times in the nation. You did a lot with infrastructure. You made a lot of bold moves with infrastructure in the city of Waterloo, and a lot of when a lot of cities and government entities around the country were backing down out of fear. You went head first into this. Can you tell me the mentality behind that, and what what the mindset of your leadership was in those times, and how that continues going forward?
Well, with COVID, man, that was a tragic time. I remember looking on television and people, this epidemic was happening. I had just brought in some of the presidential candidates, and we did a local America forum, at our sportsplex. So, going into we were moving forward, but the COVID happened, and I just remember people saying, "Oh, all across the country, all these people have it." And then I ain't gonna lie, I was thinking to myself, "Man, we must be really, really doing a good job because we don't have that many cases." And before I know it, a month later, a couple months later, we became one of the hot spots in America for COVID. And so a lot of
Wow.
our families impacted, a lot of crucial conversations trying to get one of our companies in particular closed so that they could hit the reset and then put in the protection. So we had one of the first packing plants that actually put in COVID protections. I won't say it was too late, but we had some challenges and some people that have lost their lives. So it is a challenging time at that point. And then once we started to move from it, we started to ask the question like, what's next, right? We advocated on the federal level to be able to expand the uses of ARPA. We expanded it to include broadband and some other areas. And so we put together a strategic initiative, strategic goal, 2030 vision plan to figure out what do we want the next chapter of our city to look like. So we hired that consultant. They came in and did it. But broadband was one of them. For 20 years, they talked about how are we going to do this? Is this going to happen? And so around that time, we were able to take some bold steps to be able to create the largest municipally owned telecom in the entire state of Iowa, or telecom utility in the state of Iowa. And so that was one initiative. And then our whole 2030 vision plan, we came out with the rebranding strategy. Once we got our people back to health, a rebranding strategy. And we just kept that momentum going on and on and on. That was either we're going to retreat or we're going to say, this is what we want our community to be. And COVID was that reset that happened that made us really take a look in the mirror as a community and try to figure out what we want to do and what we want to be. So thousands of people participated and came out with the 2030 vision plan, and we've been working it ever since. We also had coming right off of that too, we were faced with what happened to George Floyd at that time, where we saw that tragic incident. So I had just hired a police chief at that time but we had already planned to put in policies and procedures of today and not the chokeholds that you can do to people. So the chief at that time, we worked together, and I think we changed about 20 plus policies in 24 days to make sure that they more align with today's policing standards, and started the process of trying to figure out how we can build up trust with our local community, because prior, that relationship was hugely fractured. And so the question was, how are we going to build up those relationships? And that's where our mindset was, just about people and about what we want to be and what we wanted to do as a community.
Well, that's tremendous because there were very significant advancements. I mean, and I know you touched on it briefly, but the establishment of Waterloo Fiber was a tremendous accomplishment through your administration, and will have residual impact for years to come. In a time, again, when many were digressing and many were going the other way, and I think that that's something to be, and again, I know you're the type of person that doesn't pat yourself on the back, but that is something that I believe that the city should be very congratulatory as it relates to your administration for that particular thing.
And
And, go ahead, sir.
and just the overall conversation and putting Waterloo Fiber in context. We saw during COVID that people, they had maybe an outstanding bill from 10 years ago, or they couldn't afford access to cable. I mean, to cable or to fiber internet. And you
Right.
think about that, everything we did back then was pretty much online, right? And so not to have affordable, reliable access to the internet, I would have never thought that my 80 plus year old mom would have an iPad, going on that iPad and trying to look at church, right? Because she wasn't
Absolutely.
able to be there, presently, or talking to friends and family, because you're more susceptible to some of the symptoms of COVID if you're a little bit older. And so I would have never thought I'd seen the day, but I definitely wanted to make sure that every child in this community, every senior, every telehealth meeting, that there's fast, reliable internet for everyone. And so that was a priority. But what we did also, we had to take a look at across the city though, and what type of infrastructures make sense to the city. When I started, Simran, we inherited a consent decree, and it was 32 years. We had people coming to council meetings talking about sewage backups or sanitary overflows in their houses, crying because of the damage that this was doing.
Right.
So that consent decree, we had no choice but to address it. And so we went in, we put together a strategic plan for that area. The 32 years, we were able to do that in less than 10 years. We did it this past summer, I believe in June, but to do that 22 years early. And that was another 80 plus $1 million that we had to reinvest right back in our communities at the same time. Our industrial parks that we have where there's industry at, we need roads, we need bridges, we need infrastructure in there, because if we're looking down 10 years from back then how are we going to be able to attract new businesses if we don't have our infrastructure corridor changed as well in our industrial parks? And I know, like right now, people are like talking about the debt in those areas, right? But the challenge is, if you don't build up your community, if you don't make those initial investments into your infrastructure core, if you don't fix age-old treatment plant problems, then how are you going to attract business? How are you going to attract people to live here? So we need to make sure that we reinvest that. We took a look at some of our recreational areas and went back into pool 40 plus years old, right? Just sitting there, couldn't even use it. It was in dire straits, but trying to fundraise to figure out how we can pay for that project. So from recreation to infrastructure to quality of life, we took the bold step to say that we're going to build a community that's going to be more attractive. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have other work to do, but these are the beginning steps to figuring out how you can rid yourself of some of the disinvestment that we have seen historically in marginalized parts of our community.
Well, what I think that's interesting about what you're sharing is it's very clear that your administration is centered around the community at large. You know, so many demographics within a community have a tendency in many cities to feel marginalized and forgotten. And what your administration is attempting to do through uh, your mobility and your movement is make sure that everyone is taken care of. Now, of course, we all understand that that's a work in progress, and I like the fact that you're commenting on the fact that you guys have made headway and you're still working, and that's why you need more time, right? You need
Right.
more time to continue these initiatives forward. So we have
Absolutely.
to make sure that we keep that in our view. Um, so let's get to some interesting questions. Um, uh, Governor Reynolds has stated that property tax reform will be the highest priority in 2026. How will that affect Waterloo, in your opinion?
How would it or how has it? Because it's been both, right?
Let,
So,
us let's deal with them both. Let's jump in.
so, so around the country, not just in Waterloo, but around the country, people are having to pay more for milk and eggs and just basic commodities, right? And so that is a strain on one hand on people as well. But the conversation about property taxes also is how we provide essential city services to people in our community. 76% of our general fund budget, that's your taxable budget that comes from property taxes, pay for police, fire, and also our building department, which is a huge part of the safety and sanctity of building structures and protecting people and property as well. And so with us, if there is a change, we have to measure that change to see if it's going to be conducive for us to providing the essential city services that we need to. Now, take for instance, about last year or the year before, the traffic cameras. Everybody hates traffic cameras. A lot of people don't like them, right? But if you study the incident rates in our local community, I think it was a priority for us to have these traffic cameras in place that not just monitor running red lights, but also the amount of speed that's traveled. The dollars that we did generate from this went directly back into our police and back into our general fund. So we didn't keep money left over after that budget, that calendar year. It all went in for property tax relief for people. That's $2 million is gone now, right? From our budget. And then you take into account they did the rollback several years ago, where they said we're going to cut the overall business tax rate and we're going to backfill cities with the dollars that they had lost by us making this huge tax cut for businesses. And so you got a different legislature that came in and said we didn't make that promise. And so now, that $1.4 million is placed on our back. And then they're having a conversation about whether or not they're going to cap the amount of growth the city can have, which is a challenge too. So all across the board, there needs to be thoughtful communication and working together with any type of reform that needs to take place as well. Historically, our city has had one of the highest levy rates because of housing values, redlining, and a number of other things that have been outside of my control until I got in office. And so, but overall as a city, we pay seventh lowest with regards to the top 10 largest cities per tax capita. So yeah, any of those changes have an impact. I work with the Iowa League of Cities, the Metro Coalition, to try to make sure we foster engagement and conversation on the state level. We all want lower property taxes, but we just need to tell the truth to the citizens what that means on the local level. 76% is police and fire. So lower property taxes and dollars that we collect, yes, it means more money back into the pockets of Iowans, which I'm all in support of, but it also has us to evaluate the essential services that we provide. Do you want less police on the street? Do you want less firefighters and EMS on the streets? Do you want less building inspectors that go in, make sure that buildings are safe? So just the number of different areas that is health and well-being and life and safety, that's what we provide. That's what cities provide, right?
Thank
We
you.
are we are that place where if you have a problem, you pick up that phone, you call your council member, you call the mayor's office, because the buck stops right here. So if they're having a conversation about taxes, please let people know what is going to be replaced or how we're going to replace essential services that could possibly happen if there's a shift in the way that the state is operated.
And I think that that's one of the things that's important is that a lot of people have misinformation because when people don't know, oftentimes, Mayor,
Right.
they create their own information, and so in many people's minds, those type of issues boil down to people not knowing where the money is going. So I think you sharing with us where the money is headed and that it's reinvestment in
Right.
essential services and necessary things helps me to understand and helps probably a lot of people that are watching this today to understand that it's purposeful money, it's purposeful spending.
Well,
And you go ahead,
Well,
sir.
maybe the question should be, because, like I said, you have to be sensitive to the tax rate and how much people say. That's one of the most important conversations we are having today. And mayors aren't opposed, or I speak for myself, not opposed to some sensible structure, but having the Iowa League of Cities, having mayors engage in that conversation so that we could give input really makes a difference. Because I bet no state legislature has ever walked up to somebody's door and when they asked the question said, "Hey, do you want lower taxes?" Everybody's going to say yes. But when they say, well, what services would you be willing to give up that's part of your taxable
Absolutely.
dollars, right? Do you want to give up EMS? And I know everybody's like, "Oh, you always play the most extreme case," but our budget and most budgets, police and fire from their general fund budget, are what the highest expense are. And I draw the line when it comes to protecting police and fire. So we'll be advocating for sensible tax changes. Tax changes from whatever they propose.
Well, I think in this regard, the cost to benefit ratio makes sense. There's going to be some cost for any beneficial thing, and these are the essential elements. So I think that was a great thing for you to explain to us, Mayor Hart. Let's shift gears just a bit. Economic development is a key component to affordability. Can you share what challenges you've experienced as mayor, and going forward, how you intend to create long-term economic sustainability?
Well, one, as I mentioned, is to take a look at the overall infrastructure that we have for attracting and recruiting business and industry, right? If you don't, like, I use what we call warp drivers, water, air, and rail park.
Okay.
With that area, we have all of that, all of those things in that area that we've reinvested so that we can attract business and business opportunities. And each one of our industrial districts, we are doing the same thing, putting the infrastructure in those places so that they can attract even more growth. Waterloo has some of the largest industry in the entire state of Iowa, John Deere being our largest employer. We have a Tyson's plant, we have Ryder, we have a myriad of other businesses here. But we have to make sure that we have the infrastructure in place, the roads, the bridges, the sanitation system, the sewage system, for us to be able to attract growth. Number two, we need to make sure that housing is a priority for this city. It's another thing to attract people here and attract industry, but if you don't have any houses that are on multiple opportunities for people, then you'll be challenged. We need to have affordable homes. We need to have market rate homes. We need to have apartments for those that may want to live there. But we need to make sure that our housing in our neighborhoods are in line and moving forward and progressing. Quality of life. If somebody moves here from another city, you at least want your children to have some amenities, or you want amenities like walking trails, walkable, bikeable areas, cultural activities. We just broke ground today on a courtworks project, which is going to be a brand new large AAU facility and mixed use as well. But those are the types of things that attract people with the quality of life in those areas too, and just being a welcoming community there as well. When I say welcoming community, that means that if a business comes here, that how can we reduce some of the red tape? Everything legal, of course, but how can we reduce some of the red tape and redundancy of people being able to work and to build companies in this city? And so those 3 to 4 strategies has been one that we tried to utilize. And this year we had our largest permit value. That's been a standard that cities use, and we had our highest year on record. So we're glad about what we're seeing so far.
So would you say, Mayor, that really Waterloo is trying to progress even things to advance entrepreneurialism within the community?
Right.
What does this look like for you going forward into this next season of your leadership?
Well, we have some tremendous opportunities coming online. The old Crossroads Mall, when you come in off the south side coming in, tomorrow we're going to have a showing of what that area is going to be transformed to. So it's working on those corridors. It's working with our Main Street downtown to create grant programs and opportunities for someone that may want to move to downtown Waterloo to do business. And it is working every area of this community, every business, they all have different needs. So you try to address those in an equitable manner to make sure you touch to help people in the way their business needs to go also. So it's being very strategic about our decisions as well. And then raising the image and the profile of our community. Strategic goal number 1 was Fly to W. And that means putting our stamp out there on things that are happening within our community. And that has been a focus on ours as well, that we have more good things to this community than things that may not than the few things that aren't right. So we just need to make sure that we continue to promote that and make sure that people hear and understand that.
Okay, great. Well, let's shift gears again, Mayor Hart. Those of you that are watching, I hope that you're grasping this great information. And again, Mayor Hart, I'm so appreciative of you taking this time to clarify a lot of things and give us some information, because I think that there's many people that are viewing now that are not only learning, but they're also connecting, and that's important as it relates to our political future. So let's shift it now to talking about TIF, which is tax increment financing.
Mhm.
Can you please share with us why it's so important and what's the future use of it in Waterloo?
And so tax increment finance is a tool the state gives cities to use to be able to attract business, fix infrastructure in particular areas of the community. So picture it as this: you have a city that's this big, and you have a small portion of this community right here out of the whole pie. That portion of it is called a TIF district. It's urban renewal. It can be blight elimination, but there's particular uses and economic development too. But say, for instance, you create new taxable value in that area. All that taxable value stays right in this area. So normally when you have a business or something that happens, that business would pay property taxes to the county, to the city, to the school system, to the community college system, but they pay all of that into those different areas. But the challenge is the city still needs to be able to compete. So they created these finance districts where we're able to structure development deals and fixed infrastructure in those areas related to those developments. And so that money stays in there. So if the city earned $1 million in that one TIF district for 1 year, and we kept it in there, then you can use the entire $1 million to do projects. If you release it back where the city gets 40%, the county gets 1%, the community college gets 1%, and all those dollars are divided. And so when we come back to get ready to build a road in that area, then that will have to be assessed to our debt because we're borrowing for that without just with our regular funding source, but within that TIF, that money stays in that TIF district. So you get $1 million to do stuff with versus releasing it is 400,000. So, you got to keep in mind, industry, business, all of those things have a positive impact. The more jobs we have, the more people that are able to feed their families. And so these TIF districts are industrial areas for the most part where industry happens. You structure deals and you make things like that. So that's what it's doing.
Okay, what is the future use of it in Waterloo specifically?
Well, we've been using it. We've been creating infrastructure. We have structured development agreements with different business and industry, and all of that structure, all of that investment is why we just had our highest year with regards to permit values, because we're seeing increased activity happen throughout our TIF areas. And lastly, the reason that the state of Iowa has so many TIFs is because there's less state incentives. That's why this is an economic development tool that cities have to be able to structure and bring business to their cities.
Wow, that's great. Well, I want to ask you, Mayor, I know you're very busy, and again, I thank you for taking this time. And again, thank you, Diversity Today Media Online, for providing the space. But I want to ask you two concluding questions. Okay. Now, these are probably the toughest two questions of the afternoon, and I want you to answer them however you see fit. But the first question is, what do you want voters to know about Mayor Quentin Hart going into the November 4th election? What things are priority for you in terms of to put in the hearts and minds of potential voters, potential supporters, and specifically not only what you want them to know, but how they can support you?
Well, first, thank you for the question. When you think about it, not only these things, not only because I may be a nice person and all those things, depending upon who you ask, but because I have a track record of actually getting things done. I work tirelessly in this job. I'm moving. I'm trying to make things happen. Everyone is welcome to come in my office and sit down and have a conversation. But I am out here working every day to try to make this the best community that's possible as well. So one of the hardest working people that very few people that work the amount of hours that I work in this building of 525 people or so that I supervise and throughout the community. So I'm out here working hard, trying to do the best I can for this community. So that is what people should know, right? And then some of my priorities coming up is focused on economic development, job creation, of course, still dealing with blighted areas of the community and Chamberlains, fostering partnerships with our neighborhood associations, and just trying to make sure that I continue to be accessible for people, continue to good public safety initiatives. We have one of the highest, our police department has one of the highest engagement rates and positivity rates that we've had in a very long time. And so just trying to be involved and be engaged and continue those initiatives. I do want to clarify one thing that I said a couple seconds ago, and that is about TIF districts. There are state incentives, but not to the level that we've seen other places when it came to trying to recruit business. I fully trust Debbie Durham, who's in there doing that now, but the state needs to come up with more incentives, super site incentives and other things to be able to help us even more. And in order in order to find me, you can go to heartformayor.com. You can also go to any Quentin Hart IA for any social media as well. So no, it's Heart for Waterloo. Heart for Waterloo. I messed that up. It's Heart for Waterloo. So yeah, just contact me, but very, very on Facebook, social media, all those areas I can be reached to as well.
Well, I think, Mayor, again, the fact that you've taken this time out to have these conversations, and I know you're a part of some other forums and things coming up. I think that people have an opportunity if they want to connect to connect. So one of the ways you can also help, Mayor Hart, I believe, and this is just my own opinion, is spread the word. You know, the word of mouth and positive conversations and positive support goes a long way. You know, one of the things that I think is very strong in Waterloo, as I've been in that community, is the power of community, and so your voice is important, and how you speak on people like Mayor Hart will go a long way with other people, and kind of in connection with that, we need you to get out and vote. We need you to make sure your voice is heard, and so Mayor Hart, will you just say something to the people that say, I don't know if my vote matters. I don't know, you know, if there's a purpose in voting. You know, what would you say to these people in this coming up to November 4th?
Every vote matters. You want your voice to be heard. You know, there's a dark cloud that seemed to have come over this nation in so many different areas, and we don't want that to extend in the local level. You need to be involved and be engaged. We need people to get out and support. We need people that are willing to knock doors. We need people that are willing to phone bank. But it takes a community. I only have one vote. But it's all of the people coming together in this community to talk about this is the direction we want to go. And you do that, your voice is your vote. So we need people involved and engaged, and we don't want to go backward as a community.
Absolutely. And so we want you to make sure that you're voting. Everybody that you're connected to needs to vote. Don't let anybody that has the opportunity to vote get away with not voting. Don't listen to the excuses. Put peer pressure in place. You know, find different wherever your polling areas are, and whatever you can do to be connected, because I believe that we need quality leadership in place, and the only way that we can do that, I tell people all the time, you can make choices, but you cannot control consequences. Right. And one consequence of not voting is making the choice, or one consequence of not voting is not having any voice when it comes to the leadership that is governing the area that you're in. Mayor Hart, I tremendously have been impacted by this conversation. Thank you for spending this time. Thank you for being accessible, and thank you for your proven leadership. It's needed, it's necessary. And again, could you just give one more time, just to make sure everybody has the correct information on how to find you, how to support? Let's end on that, and then we'll be done for the day.
Yeah, we need door knocking, we need phone calling, but you can reach throughout my website, heartforwaterloo.com, or any social media platform. It's Quentin Hart IA. I can be reached through there as well. But we need you. We need your help. And thank you, Diversity of Today Media and Us Iowa.
Appreciate you, sir. Well, we're going to wrap up for today. Thank you all of you that joined us today. Thank you for all of your support. Continue it. Please, we want to see you show up in great numbers on November 4th to be an impactful part of this next election. Again, thank you to Diversity Today Media Online and all of the team that works there. Thank you to Us Iowa for partnership. And we are going to have more events and more things coming up in the future. Please watch these pages. Watch for information, flyers, and any other media that directs you to these events. We need you to show up. We need you to show out. And again, let's get behind our candidates, and we'll see a tremendous impact on the world. Thank you for your time. Have a good rest of the day.